There's Geeta in India, Anwar in Pakistan, Anat in Kenya, Mohammed in Uganda, Paulo in Brazil. And there are many, many kids like them, separated by geography, culture, and countries. But they have at least three things in common. The first thing is they aspire to be someone in their lives. They want to improve their situation. Second thing is either they don't have access to education, or even if they are going to school, they're not getting proper education because their schools don't have the critical resources: books, stationery, trained teachers, clean toilet, clean water. And the third thing is, if the status quo continues, these kids are very likely to not reach their aspirations. These kids are very likely to end up in continuous cycle of poverty and dependence. I want to tell you something which we all know, but something which we often overlook. Our world has lots of problems. There's problem with climate change, conflicts, injustice, inequality, hunger, poverty, diseases, literacy, and education. Now you're thinking, wow, this looks like a shaky ship. It might sink any time, so let's find an escape route. Well, there's no escape route until and unless they find a solution to go to Mars or Moon or somewhere. And it could take a few years. So until then, we have to figure out the solutions. Now, United Nations brought together many agencies. They thought about it, deliberated, analyzed, and said, look, we got these problems. We got to solve them. So they came up with 17 Sustainable Development Goals, thinking that if we are able to achieve these goals, it will be possible to get the things in control. Probably they couldn't frame up the 18th goal, so they just read Sustainable Development Goals in the last block, just to make the figure look nice. Anyhow, so I've worked in sustainable development for a few years, and it's been a truly inspiring and humbling experience. People working hard to make change, people trying to make things different, people trying to uplift other people, controlling disease, bringing energy. And I learned quite a lot. That there are some projects which are very impactful, that there are some projects which are very less impactful, they rather have very many side effects, and there are some programs which are utter failures. So what are the factors which make some programs very impactful and the others not so impactful? We did a little exercise here trying to help the other person feel better. Did it create the impact? We got to think about it. Before that, I should think about the factors which differentiate between the impactful programs and non-impactful programs. The first and foremost thing is that these programs which are impactful, which have long-term sustainable impact, are the ones which focus on the causes of the problems rather than the problems themselves. The second thing is that these programs are very inclusive. They include all the stakeholders, they get suggestions, they try to find value for all possible stakeholders, whether it's beneficiaries, customers, partners. They take input from everyone. The third one is that these programs are using data, measuring data, and trying to use data to advise their strategies. The fourth thing is they focus on the context very much. Some solutions which may work in Norway won't work in Malawi. They have to focus on what are the social norms, what are the cultural situations, what are the government regulations. For example, one day you decide, imagine that you want to make people happy. And you think, I'm going to hug everyone and make people happy. And the first person you think about hugging is your friend who is feeling miserable. Yeah? So sounds like a good idea. You go and hug your friend, and your friend feels nice. Now imagine a situation where there's a person standing beside your friend, and you hug your friend, and your friend hits the other person. And the other person thinks, whoa, he's startled, and thinks, where did it come from? And then there's some argument, there's some discussion, and then you settle things down. However, if the other person had a cup of coffee, and when your friend hits him, it spills on his shirt, then there's more argument, less discussion. You lose time and money and resources. Now imagine you're hugging your friend, and there's a dog sitting here, and your friend accidentally steps on the tail of the dog. The dog doesn't argue, the dog doesn't discuss, the dog just bites your friend and also you. That's the unintended consequences. Now, the further consequence is that you end up in bed, you have to go to hospital, Yeah, you are in pain, you lose time, resources, money, there's little impact, and your friend hates you now. And the worst thing is he even unfriends you on Facebook. Now, everything starts with a good thought. There was a time when people thought, look, we have technology coming up all the time, we have new computers, our old computers are old. Maybe they have use for someone else in the developing world, like Africa. Why not we collect these computers from family and friends, from organizations, and let's ship them to some African countries where they have no access to cheap computers. If they get computers, they have chance to come up in their lives. Good. Everything is good. However, it works for some time, but it doesn't work anymore because these computers work only for a few years, and then they become waste. Now, these countries, think about the context, these countries don't have possibility to recycle electronic waste in a proper manner. Once the computer doesn't work, there's no use, it goes into the landfill. Once it goes into the landfill, it starts to leach, the chemicals start to leach, and it becomes an environmental hazard. If people try to recycle in such ways that it's harmful for them in an unsafe manner, then it's a human health hazard. So what happened? The governments there said, look, you are creating a waste problem for us. And these people actually were trying to do nice things. But who is more powerful? The government is more powerful. The government said, we ban all such imports. And then what happens? What happens is that people who had started to build up aspirations that we will get cheap computers, their aspirations are quashed. And all these organizations who were shipping these old computers to these countries, they had to close down because there's no market for these computers. The people lose jobs, resources, and they lose credibility. Do you know about cobras? King cobra is a very venomous snake in India. If you get bitten, you have very less chance of surviving if you don't get immediate treatment. So there was a time when Britishers were ruling India, they were governing, and they were getting taxes from the Indian workers. People were working in the fields, and then cobras were biting people, people were dying, and government had slightly less taxes. So the government thought of an ingenious idea. How about we give incentive to people for killing cobras? That's a great idea. Anybody who brings a dead cobra to us, we give them little payment, they make money, government is happy, people are happy, and the cobras are dead. That's good. A very good idea, creative. However, it worked for some time, and then they found out that people are bringing dead cobras again and again and again. And then, the treasury people started wondering, where is our money going? What's the problem? And then they find out that people actually started breeding cobras. It makes perfect business sense. You breed a cobra, kill it, bring it to the rulers, get the money, get your extra income, keep doing the same things. You get lots of money. And the government said, look, we are the government. We are not foolish people. We are stopping this program now. And then there's no incentive to breed the cobras. So there are thousands of cobras in the breeding facilities. There's no incentive. Why to feed them? Let's release them. And then once you release the cobras, there are so many cobras out in the open again. So that is the unintended consequence. So what I found, apart from all these things, is that the programs which are more impactful, more sustainable, are the programs which focus on human development. Maslow was a psychologist who thought about human needs. So he came up with this hierarchy of human needs. A lot of people in the poor situations keep lurking in the lower levels, struggling with the basic needs: food, water, sex, sleep, excretion. And human development is achieved in developed society when people move on towards self-actualization, develop self-esteem, and they have more time to think about other things in life. This is how it looks like nowadays. The basic needs are battery and Wi-Fi. A lot of teenagers especially keep lurking still in the lower levels. So sustainable programs have the possibility to take humans towards self-actualization. And education is a great enabler. Education enables not only individuals, but whole societies towards self-actualization. Coming back to education, I became a social entrepreneur just by chance. I worked in sustainable development. I had the passion, I had the knowledge, I had, yeah, insights and everything. But one day I was sitting in my daughter's school, and the school wanted to raise some money for extracurricular activities. They said, look, we got to get some money, let's organize a cake sale. And let's try to also sell children's creations. They have worked hard in their art activities, let's try to sell them. So they organized an event. They said, we have physical space, limited time, and limited audience. So parents came, they bought some of the children's creation, and the problem was, by the end of the evening, there were still so many things left. School has invested money into creating these things, but they're left. I mean, the cake was finished, so but these things were left. And then it struck me, here is a school which is trying to raise money for extracurricular activities, but there are millions of children who go to schools which do not have the most critical resources. Can we scale this up to a global model using the technological solutions that we have? Can we do something like this? Children are creative. They have their own creativity way of thinking. They can draw, they can send us their drawings. We make cool designs based on those drawings and put those designs into wall arts and collages and different products, and try to sell them online and to businesses. Businesses get to do corporate social responsibility when they have wall art on their premises. It improves the aesthetics in the workplace. They engage the employees and the customers. And the individuals buy because they like it, not because they are feeling pity or sympathy for these kids. The side effect is actually that they get to help. Once we open to the whole wide world on the internet, we open up to the whole audience. The audience is not limited, time is not limited, and it creates tremendous possibilities. Somebody will produce for us on demand. We don't need to have lots of inventory. We don't have to have a production facility. We use the technology. And when kids realize that somebody somewhere bought something based on their creation, then it gives them tremendous self-confidence, which can take them a lot of, long way in their lives. But how does it become self-sustainable? Well, we take commission on each sale, we take out the cost, and the rest of the money goes to the school fund. So we keep making money, the school fund keeps growing. We use the school funds for providing the most critical resources and also the scholarships so that more kids can grow in. But there was a big challenge. Well, I worked as a consultant, and what do consultants do? They do the thinking part, analyzing, and they advise. The doing part is for someone else, actually. So then, I thought about it, I turned it around every possible way, and then I did something which most intelligent people do nowadays. I did a Google search. And then I found out about the scale of the problem. There are 57 million children which are not in school. And that is a good number, actually. In 2000, there were 100 million children not in school. And there are more than 250 million children who do not reach even the minimum learning standards by grade 4. And that is precisely because their schools don't have the most critical resources. I mean, the educational resources are worldwide. I mean, there are YouTube videos, and you can learn from Khan Academy, but these schools just don't have the possibility to get these resources. So then I took the plunge. Come on, we got to try to do this. Now, I didn't know anything. I mean, we have to learn on the way. So, but is that all? I mean, do we consider it a success? I mean, now we have partner schools in 6 countries working with us, and it's going well, but is that a sustainable solution yet? As social entrepreneurs, we got to keep thinking about how is it creating systemic change. Our effort, how is it translating to improved educational outcomes for children in these schools? Are we getting enough students through the scholarships? Are we, is it fostering and nurturing creativity among the children? Are the schools discriminating in any way? So we have to keep on our toes to ensure that systemic change is happening. So if you were to ask me, Himanshu, can you do it? Can you bring about this huge change? And my arrogant answer would be yes, of course. But a wiser answer, and perhaps a more practical answer, would be, well, yes, but not alone. We want to work with partners who identify with our mission, our vision, and are willing to go the extra mile with us. No change can bring about by trying to do things ourselves and getting things, it's not possible. But we have the means. We can find people, and people who not only think in terms of that will it work or not, but what if it works? We got to have this thinking. I started talking about problems in the beginning, but I think we are also living in amazing times. We have the technology, which kind of helps bring people together. Our team is all international. We are using solutions which are sitting somewhere in the world. So these are amazing times, and there are many reasons to celebrate about this. Celebrating of children, celebrating that they are creative and we have possibility to make them go forward in their lives, celebrating that it's possible to bring people together and build up solutions in a smarter way. And it's possible, and it's possible that we can try to make change together. And something which is very important to celebrate about is that people are thinking good thoughts. A lot of people are thinking good thoughts. And remember what I said in the beginning, or somewhere in the talk, that it all starts with a good thought. Thank you.